I'm with Diarmaid Lynch of Switch New Media at a conference where Diarmaid is doing some fantastic live streaming about anti-bullying mixed in with Twitter and blogging and so forth. Hugely professional activity aided by some young social reporters. And we've got talking about how these techniques could be used locally with local communities to connect with other people, the small meetings, the conversations that are taking place about lots of issues. In particular, we were talking about big society, where it's a concept that's exercising a lot of people, but everybody's saying, how do we get to the meat of it? How do we get to the realities of what's happening on the ground? Do you think it's possible to blend in your professional approach with the sorts of things that people are doing with Skype and bits of video and Twitter?
Yeah. Live streaming is it's non-geographic specific. You could be anywhere watching an event. We're in Cardiff here today, and we have people watching in Edinburgh, in Glasgow, in London, and outside of the UK. When you tap into things like your social media blogs, your live Twitter accounts, and you get people engaging, people who can't make it to the event, it's a very powerful tool. We take professional cameras, but this stuff is getting easier to use and easier to roll out. I've just read a figure, live streaming's gone up by 648% in the last year, so it's getting adopted and people are getting used to watching things online.
And we were talking, last night over dinner about the sort of lower cost, lightweight kit that it might be possible to use in a village hall. You package it up, you have somebody with a little bit of training to use it, but you saying you could manage some of that remotely and connect different events across the country.
Some great kit coming out where you can deploy a small encoder, which is possibly the size of an old video cassette. You can remotely connect into it, so you can do all the hard work of setting up all the encoding, which is often the hard part. And then all you really need is a good audio connection and a good video camera. Your town hall is perfect for this. We're not using huge big broadband connections, it's a modest connection, so your standard BT home connection will work with this. It's less than half a meg, so I know the government are pushing out the 2 meg commitment, so we fall within that.
And it occurred to me that maybe there's some jobs here for social reporters, that if you can develop that bundle of kit and some other advice on how to do a range of social media, there's a job in that. Yeah,
definitely. And the beauty of it is if you can get into an event, you can capture the heart of the event, but it's there for 12 months, for years afterwards, as a resource. If you had, you mentioned the big society, there's meetings happening all over the country, but people are replicating and doing the same thing. If you were to stream it, for example, you could have 20 or 30 events in a year, but they could all latch in and connect with each other, so you just spread that message far and wide, and you can have these things anywhere. They don't have to be in London, they can be in Carlisle, they can be in the Outer Hebrides. As long as you have a good broadband connection, you have an audience.
I think that the TED Talks and TEDx events and so forth have been a great inspiration to people. So we're kind of building on that, but in much more of a do-it-yourself fashion.
Yeah. TED is an excellent resource. People can tune in and watch things all year round. So it's really capturing the content and putting it back out there.
And the other thing that occurred to me at the moment, there's some opportunities to bid for contracts to develop training for community organisers and other things as well. Do you think there's scope here for people sharing their experience in this way?
Definitely. You're capturing wisdom, you're capturing real life experience. If you bottle that, if you put that into an online resource, anybody in the country can watch this anytime they want. So you create that network and you fuel it with content. So you have expert speakers, you have great topics to talk about. It's push it out to the audience and keep it alive. So you have your social media tools, which you have your LinkedIn networks, you have your Twitter networks, you have your Facebook. Facebook do live streaming now. Anybody can connect to this, and the beauty is to roll it out and keep it going.
Yeah. So as you're explaining there, this isn't just about creating content and viewing content, or even having short-term conversations. It is about building relationships, and it is about building networks and learning networks.
Yeah, a network nation. You know, you can have an event in Exeter which leads on to an event in Portsmouth where people are discussing the same topic, but they're referring back and forth to stuff that they've already watched and has already been covered. And then it evolves. You know, you get great ideas, you get great people together, and you just stream it and you capture everything.
Have you? I mean, costing that sort of thing would mean sitting down, working it through. But are there any kind of costs around the kit which is coming out now, which might surprise people?
It's encoding equipment. Yeah. Really, the easy thing would be to deploy it to remote locations, give them a bit of training, and let them run with it themselves. There's no point getting £50,000 cameras in to cover an event which you're streaming to the web. Small consumer cameras can do it these days. They've moved on that far, so you're not talking thousands of pounds. You know, it's readily available stuff. For example, you're using your iPhone here. We're capturing some great content. We have a social media team here of 12 students who are running around capturing great stuff. You'll see it all on the anti-bullying website here at PRR 2010. So it's a fine example.